Joining me now is Clovis Casali, our reporter who spent the day covering the story at the presidential palace for us. Clovis, thanks for coming in. It's a big moment, isn't it? The resignation of the health minister over all of this?
It might be just one minister, but it's damaging indeed. For those who don't really know Aurelien Rousseau, the health minister, who's now resigned, he was a prime ally of Elisabeth Borne, the prime minister. He was once her head of cabinet, and he's not the only left-leaning minister to feel that this immigration law isn't just, it's too hard, too tough on foreigners. Just as a reminder, here are a few of the measures. For foreigners, documented or not, where it's going to become much harder to get social benefits. If a foreigner doesn't work, he or she will have to have spent 5 years in France to get social benefits. If a foreigner doesn't work, if a foreigner does work, it's 3 months at least in France for housing benefits and 30 months for family benefits. Those are just some of the measures. And the government admits this is not the bill it wanted originally. It's not 100% happy with this bill. Why is it going with this bill? Because it needed to reach a compromise with right-wing MPs in Parliament during a committee. They needed to reach an agreement, and they did, but they needed to make significant concessions for the right-wing MPs to vote this law. And during the cabinet meeting at the Élysée Palace this morning, one participant said that President Macron admitted that there are points in the law that he's not happy with. But they don't go against our values. Those were the words of the French president this morning. After the cabinet meeting, the government spokesperson also addressed journalists, this time with similar words. He also said that this law is actually going to protect the French people, according to the government. It's going to be easier to expel foreigners who are criminals, terrorists, and also better integrate those foreigners who are here and who are working. That's what Olivier Véran says. Let's take a listen to the government spokesperson.
It doesn't stop us recognizing that there are elements of this law we don't like, that part of the French population doesn't like, that I don't like, but they don't discredit us. Some of these measures are particularly counterintuitive because they would hinder access to work for foreigners. We'll be re-examining some of those measures soon.
So, Clovis, the government spokesperson there, trying to paper over some of the cracks here, but there may well be serious political consequences for the president.
Indeed, because a lot of French people might say, look, President Macron, we voted for you in the presidential election to prevent a far-right politician from winning office, winning the presidency, and that's Marine Le Pen. Marine Le Pen, after this vote in Parliament, said it's an ideological victory for us. Our ideas are actually being recognized. People are admitting that we were right all along with our concept of national preference. Well, Emmanuel Macron, his entourage, has been telling us today and in previous days that this is completely wrong. Take a look at the details. It's not the case. And the far right is basically just trying to capitalize on the situation, is committing a kiss of death, if you will, trying to say, look, Macron is adopting our ideas and therefore it's all acceptable. This is the way we should go with the country. Emmanuel Macron tonight will be addressing the French people in an unusual address. He's taking part in an hour-long TV show with several journalists, experts, not political journalists, who will be asking him questions. He was supposed to talk about the main events of 2023, international ones notably, and also talk about the perspectives for 2024. Well, this time, given the current situation in France, he will be talking about the immigration law. He will need to explain why he thinks this law was so important to pass.